Yeah, as Victor Ira is unable to just come in present, so he has sent a video for us. We shall just watch the video.
Most honorable ministers, most respected dignitaries of the dais, highly esteemed guests of the event, ladies and gentlemen, Vanakkam, Namaste, Wan Xiang Hao, and good afternoon all. I am greatly honored to attend this symposium in commemoration of Professor XuFancheng's 112th birth anniversary. Please allow me to take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to the organizers whom I have come to know through Mr. Gobidan, the General Secretary of Pondicherry Youth Entrepreneurs Network. Today, Professor XuFancheng is well known to modern literature as a Chinese scholar. He himself was an ardent disciple and a promoter of Sri Aurobindo's philosophy. Professor Zhu was a painter, a translator, a well-learned scholar, philosopher, and a polyglot, a person who knew many languages. It's worthy to state what Professor XuFancheng has contributed towards the cultural exchange between these two countries is a masterpiece that cannot be replaced by anyone today. Wars, famine, state failures, revolutions, reforms, and economic boom is what we remember of 20th century China. But for Professor Zhu, it was a time of utter calmness. For 33 quiet years, for Zhu, he worked hard as ancient pilgrim, studying and translating the classical writings of India, which had the deepest philosophies of all. Professor Zhu has been often credited with not only introducing Indian philosophy to China, but also inspiring Chinese universities to teaching the works of Sri Aurobindo. As Matri Prasad, an ashram inmate, has said, he firmly believed in the spiritual message of Sri Aurobindo that proposed India to maintain a universal brotherhood with all countries. Professor Zhu turned from being a radical young intellectual into a thinker, making Eastern philosophy his source of spirituality, something China shared with India in ancient times and could still be valuable for modern man's existence. And it will be more than being valuable, as we can know from Professor Zhu's writings, and more importantly, which derives from his entire body of research. He re-emphasizes that man's inevitable journey from the industrial and bureaucratic systems of the modern times will be toward moral independence and spiritual well-being. Professor Zhu also translated Aurobindo's works such as essays on Gita, Foundation of Yoga, essays on Yoga, A Holy Profession, etc. Professor Zhu was much passionate and was interested in the spiritual practices of Sri Aurobindo at Pondicherry. Sri Aurobindo developed a spiritual practice he called integral yoga. The central theme of his evolution of human life surrendered in divine body. Professor Zhu not only translated Sri Aurobindo's works, but he implemented and promoted the universities to promote yoga and practice in day-to-day life. One of the important philosophies of Sri Aurobindo was Sat Chit Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda is a Sanskrit term that describes the nature of reality as it conceptualized in Hindu and yogic philosophy. The word Sat refers to truth, absolute being, or existence, that which is enduring and unchanging. Chit stands for consciousness, understanding, and comprehension. Ananda expresses bliss, a state of pure happiness, joy, and sensual pleasure. It is said that Sat Chit Ananda is the source of all consciousness and all perfection. To experience Satchit Ananda, it is to achieve the ultimate goal of the spiritual journey in Hinduism or yoga. It is for this ultimate goal of Satchit Ananda Sri Aurobindo Ghosh and Professor XuFancheng entertained spiritual journey and yoga in their life. The embodiment of the concepts of Satchit Ananda and the journey towards yogic way of life. Aurobindo considers Satchit Ananda to be the eternal and unified concept of soul, which is beyond space, matter, and time, which Professor Zhu had put in practice in his life. True to the tradition of Indian yogis, Professor Zhu roamed around India in search of this truth, in search of knowledge and fulfillment, which he found in Banaras to start with, where he mastered Sanskrit, and in Aurobindo Ashram, Pondicherry, where he stayed for the next 27 years and gave full play to his expertise in Indian, Chinese, and Western civilization in his writings and translations. Professor Zhu compared his teacher Zhao Juni with Sri Aurobindo Ghosh, his spiritual guru, for he believed that Aurobindo was a true inheritor of the mainstream Indian culture and studies of Vedas, Upanishads, and Bhagavad Gita. Zhu believed that the Chinese nation could survive and preserve its culture because of its character that has an indelible imprint of Confucianism. Finally, to conclude, Professor Zhu came to India in search of the hidden treasures which many countries have been deprived of. And when he found it, he went back to his nation to preach about that. So, Professor Zhu came to India in an unending search for spirituality, and he returned as an ambassador of those discoveries. Thank you, one and all. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Victor, sir. It was a very inspiring speech.